Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital.
Now before I begin, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications. In Oak Creek, Wisconsin, there is a 17-acre wetlands park with walking paths, scenic views, and observation areas. But this wetlands is not a pristine natural landscape preserved as a state park. Rather, this is a man-made ecosystem built on the remnants of an old aeronautics manufacturing facility. The construction of the wetland was designed to collect and filter all of the stormwater from the new town square development. The entire transformation of vacant industrial site to commercial hub and nature preserve is an incredible story in itself. More on that later. But first, did you know that stormwater management is a key part of land development? Even if you are building a simple single-family home, you will still have to manage stormwater on your site. But don't think of this as a boring project. There's so much you can do with stormwater infrastructure. And in today's video, we'll cover one of the key elements of stormwater management, the stormwater pond. Number 1, a stormwater pond, also called a retention basin, wet pond, or wet detention basin, is an artificial pond. And it is used to manage stormwater runoff in order to prevent flooding, downstream erosion, and improve the water quality in adjacent water bodies. Number 2, stormwater ponds catch and filter polluted runoff from impervious surfaces, such as roads, sidewalks, and buildings. Now, in undeveloped or natural areas, stormwater ponds aren't necessary since rainwater is absorbed directly into the soil, where a bulk of it is taken up by trees or plants, and the remainder flows into rivers, streams, or wetlands naturally. When we develop an area, however, we disrupt this natural cycle of rainwater management, and thus need to create a man-made alternative. Number 3. Municipalities often have large detention or retention ponds located on public or common land. This is part of a public infrastructure system to handle runoff from the municipality. And stormwater from around the municipality is collected in drains on the sides of roads and brought to the central pond for retention and filtration. Number 4. But stormwater ponds can also be found on private property. In fact, stormwater ponds are often required as part of a large development project. And this is because large increases in runoff associated with large-scale development can overwhelm existing municipal stormwater infrastructure. And this excess runoff can result in flooding in the surrounding neighborhoods. Number 5. Stormwater ponds are part of basic development infrastructure, but they do have numerous benefits. They protect homes and businesses from flooding, reduce erosion, clean stormwater, provide green space for the community, increase biodiversity, and also can be used for conserving water that may later be used for irrigation purposes. And number 6, while stormwater ponds do come with a lot of benefits, they also require some maintenance. If you have a stormwater pond on your property, you will need to maintain it, but even if you are simply taking advantage of your municipality's stormwater infrastructure, you can still do your part in helping to maintain and preserve this communal asset. First of all, it's important to keep yard waste and litter out of storm drains and drainage ditches. It's also important to make sure that oil, antifreeze, pesticides, and fertilizers are not being directed into storm drains and drainage ditches. Stormwater ponds may be designed to filter stormwater runoff, but they typically cannot handle this kind of industrial pollution. In a similar vein, don't hose chemicals off impermeable surfaces like your driveway. If you have your own stormwater pond, plant grasses and plants in exposed areas around the pond to prevent eroded soil from falling into the pond. Again, if you have a pond on site, make sure you have it inspected annually to ensure that it is performing as expected. But let's return to the Oak Creek wetland. The wetlands is part of Drexel Town Square, a brownfield site that was recently redeveloped into a commercial and civic center. To combat the additional stormwater runoff from the development, the developer was required to include 3 stormwater ponds in the design. But the ponds created were not just your average stormwater pond. On the first pond in the system floats 3 man-made islands in which native plants have been placed. The roots from these plants draw up the large quantities of nitrogen and phosphorus present in the runoff water filtering into the pond. Even more importantly, the woven underside of the artificial islands will become a nest for beneficial bacteria that ultimately do the heavy work of nitrogen removal. The water filtered by these islands eventually flows into an 8-acre wetland system where hundreds of native plants provide forage for imperiled native pollinators. So you see how a concept as dry as stormwater management can be used to create something special. In this case, both a habitat for native species and a beautiful nature preserve for local residents, where you can catch a glimpse of monarch butterflies and turtles during your afternoon shopping trip. And there's no reason why you can't do something similar on your development project. So do you have a vision for your property? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down properties at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.